Hello guys, gals, and everybody pals, welcome back to my channel, and today I wanted to go over how I farmed 160,000 plus Grand Company seals in just 5 minutes. Basically, it is also an updated way to farm Grand Company seals that I wanted to showcase since my last video was already almost a year old, and stuff has changed and I do have more methods. This will go over many ways to craft these items and more ways to farm them without crafting. So with that being said, let's get into it. So we can start with crafting, and still by far my favorite way to craft for Grand Company seals is with facet rings. The facet ring materials are usually dirt cheap, and the most expensive part about this is the onyx. Now you can go ahead and get onyx every 30 minutes and I'll put the coordinates above, but if you can get these yourself, you will definitely save a ton of money. But that doesn't mean it costs a ton to craft these. Stuff like the multifaceted alchemic are also very cheap, and so are the aether sands that are required. Now, if you are like me and you have a whole load of Shadowbringers aether sands that you want to go ahead and use up, this is a perfect opportunity to turn these into something you'll actually use. Plus, with facet rings, you can now quick synthesize them. There is no longer any need to use a macro. You can go ahead and craft around 99 of them per 5 minutes. The only catch is that you do indeed have to be at least level 80, and you have to have the Master Craft recipe book for level 7. But this is not the only item that is viable. I will go ahead and go over the list that has a whole load of them. But first, I'll show you what I got from crafting facet rings for 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, I was able to craft 98 facet rings. I only had enough for 98, but that was enough for me. This netted me a ton of Grand Company seals, which was 160,524 to be exact. Per ring, you were getting 1,638. So with 5 minutes of work, this is an awesome way to get a whole load of Grand Company seals. Now, if you're going to be interested at what you can buy with these Grand Company seals, I will also make an updated video on what to buy. So keep a look out for that. But what if you don't want to craft facet rings, or if it's too expensive for you? Now, let's go ahead and take a look at another one that I really recommend. So this is the Palladium band. So I do recommend taking a look at the list to see which one, whether it be bending, slaying, aiming, etc., which one would be the cheapest for you. But for me, it is bending, and a lot of these items are also dirt cheap. The Durium ingot is 59 per, which is really inexpensive. The resin is also quite cheap, and even things like the Palladium ingot and the aether sand are also very inexpensive. And of course, these Palladium bands are also quick synthesis viable, so you don't have to macro craft anything. You just get the materials and craft away. Now, of course, with 5 minutes, you're able to craft around 99 of them, and you get 1,390 Grand Company seals per one. So with 5 minutes of work, you will get 137,610 Grand Company seals. But now we can go ahead and take a look at the list to see how cheap things really are. So here is the list, and of course, the only thing you need to do is fill prices based on market board prices and fill prices based on market board prices at the bottom. We're only looking at the price to craft here, and by looking at this quickly, I can see that the Palladium bands, the Silver Grace rings, and the Facet rings seem to be the best. But also, take a look. Is aiming, casting, or healing? Which one is cheaper? Out of the facet rings, the cheapest one seems to be the healing. But for that same price, I can go ahead and craft a Neo-ish Guardian ring of aiming, which would net me more Grand Company seals since this is a higher item level. The Palladium band is the lowest item level out of all this entire list. So per each item here, you would get 1,390 Grand Company seals or more. But again, take a look if you already have some of these materials, especially in your inventories or in your retainers that you definitely won't use. This is a great way to put it to use to something that you will in fact use. But what if you don't want to craft, or you don't have a goldsmith or a carpenter, or you just want to farm dungeons? Well, I have 3 dungeons that are quite worthwhile. And first off is Alamigo. Now this is a level 70 dungeon, and it is not the best dungeon on this list, but it is still pretty good because you can also farm a mount. Now the mount drops from Mr. Xenos, which is the last boss, but don't worry, these bosses are very easy if you are at max level and have decent gear meaning crafted job gear at least, with melts. I also do recommend having food. This will make it so much easier and you will have an extra stat boost as well. The pulls are also very large, you can pull a ton, but also be careful because it does tend to hurt when 50 guys are pummeling you. Now again, you do get a mount here, and it is one of my favorite mounts. It is gigantic and I didn't have it yet. I'm so lucky to get this on my first run of Alamigo, so very happy, very thankful, and it is a great way to also get a orchestrion roll that is worth quite a bit on my server, so you can get a mount and something to sell while you are farming these Grand Company seals. Now with a kill time of 9 minutes, I got 13,500 from one run, and roughly you would get 89,100 per hour. Now I did miss some items since they were already in my inventory since I did a test run earlier, so I could have gotten more, but of course this is still pretty good if you're gonna go ahead and farm a dungeon. But again, not the best. So let's go and see the best dungeon. And the best dungeon by far is a anti-tower. This is a level 60 dungeon. It is super easy. The bosses melt and the mobs melt as well. It is also very quick and very straightforward. So with a kill time of 5 minutes and 36 seconds, and I got a total of 11,220 Grand Company seals. With an hour of running, you would get 125,597 Grand Company seals. Also, do remember to open treasure chests along the way. This does contribute to the amount that I'm showing here, so remember to go ahead and get these as well. Another alternative is the Great Google Library. It is level 59, so a bit easier. With a 6 minute 19 second kill time, with running for an hour, you would get 72,000 Green Company seals. So those three I do recommend. Of course, you can go ahead with your squadrons, farm anything there as well, and you can also use the duty support system to go ahead and farm stuff as well, or stuff with trust. But for me, I do prefer doing it solo, and it does tend to be a lot quicker, especially when I want to just farm and be as efficient as possible. So guys, that is how I farm my Grand Company seals in 2022. I hope these could help you find a good way to stabilize your Grand Company seals, and sometimes I only really need Grand Company seals when I really need them. I've been suffering with 20 ventures, trying to cycle back and forth with a quick venture here and there. It was not worth it. Just going ahead, getting a few of these crafted or dungeons ran, get a whole load of ventures to just feel comfortable feels the best. Also, stuff like Sheolite and other things do tend to sell very well and are especially needed nowadays since a lot of the trial weapons actually require things like glass fiber. But of course, we'll go over what you can buy with Green Company seals in the next video. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope this could help you out. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, of course. And thank you to everyone that supports me on Twitch, Discord, and YouTube. You all keep the channel going. So with that being said, see you in the next video.